Welcome once again, my patrons, my brothers, my sisters, our distinguished politicians, royal fathers, and all well wishers. Yet again in another series, and this time we're going to look at the Benin and Igala traditions of Ibusa burial rites. The Benin and Igala traditions of Ibusa burial rites. We are going to look at it and then see to what extent did Igbo origin of Ibusa sustain its presence in the body of the rituals, funeral rituals of Ibusa people, being the epicenter of Igbo identity in the present Delta State. So to what extent the Igbo character, Igbo identity, Igbo culture, Igbo customs and tradition penetrate or sustain its presence in the body of funeral rites of Ibusa people today. But before then, let me just quickly look at some few matters arising. First, let me sincerely present my apology to Asaba people over my representation. It is quite, let me say, it was quite an avoidable mistake because it's something I know, it's something I'm used to, but somehow it kept off my thoughts or the frequency of my statement, and then went and I didn't pick it until after the whole event has been concluded, and that is referring to Ago, Umuago as the most senior quarters in Asaba instead of Umuezene, even though I was right in the positioning of Umuezene, Ubodachala, Idumubome, and Umuezanyam. I was right in positioning them, but just in the naming that was actually where I made the omission. So I hope that people, Asaba people, will forgive me for that. Of course, they will know that having stated quite correct the position that the issue of Ago being the first son was an omission, especially after I had stated it quite clear in the tradition presented by Isaac Spencer that Ezene was the first son of Nevis. Having said that, let me again state my position again, clear with respect to the Anioma state agitation or whatever it is now called. This is consequent to the demonstrations or protests that we organized just yesterday by some miscreants gathered together as used by paid agents, paid miscreants by Mwoko, demonstrating to the government that they want an Anioma state, they want Delta State to go to Southeast. You can imagine. That is, one can see the extent to which Mwoko, Senator Ned Mwoko, has actually ridiculed himself. What concerns Delta State government with the agitation for Anioma State? What concerns Delta State government with the clandestine attempt to put Anioma people into the Southeast geopolitical? What concerns Delta State? When Delta State was created, was Benin State privy to it? No. When Midwest, in fact, to every creation of state, you see, to every creation of state, no sitting government was ever, privy to it. So, but for us, I've made it clear and I stand by it that we don't have any need for Anioma State. Anioma State is just the handiwork. Anioma State came up, was very, was necessary at the time we were in Benin State. And it was Anioma State that metamorphosed into the present data from the agitation, except in name. So this Anioma State belongs to us as much as it belongs to Robo, it belongs to Isoko, it belongs to Ishekiri, and it belongs to Ijo. And we have been living peacefully together. There's no case of domination, discrimination, or whatever against one another. And human people are not discriminated against. We are not suppressed in this state. We have equal rights. So one does not understand the basis of this agitation of Anioma State and moving to the Southeast. Southeast for what? Challenge network and other. Tell us one basic, one simple economic benefit, and normal people will gain if they decide to go to Southeast. Tell us one important political benefit, and normal people will gain for joining. If we decide to join Southeast, they've told us. Talk and book story about unsustainable hypothesis of common language. Unsustainable. Unsustainable. Because we have proved that Anioma people are multicultural, we are multi-ethnic, and we are multi-group in existence, in origin. We are also multilingual in origin. We have Yoruba-speaking people here who have been here since the 15th century or further. We have Igala people here who are speaking Igala. We have Isoko people here who are speaking Isoko. For Christ's sake, we are okay with where we are. And people from outside should not come up and start to create unnecessary problem, conflict among our people. In the name of agitation for Anioma State, in the name of relocating Anioma people to Southeast. We don't want it. And it has come to start. Ned Moko was there before the Southeast National Assembly caucus, chaired by Senator Abaribe, Enyina Abaribe. Yeah, he was there when Senator Abaribe was reading the constitution to him. He was there when Senator Abaribe clearly told him on his face that Anioma was not qualified. So what is Woko's interest, particular interest in this issue of Anioma State agitation? What is his own interest? I will leave it for another day. However, let us go to where we are supposed to go. Because as our people say, what the blacksmith intends to produce is what he has in mind to produce, or his mission of production is what he produces, not anything else. So we are here going to look at the Benin and Igala traditions of Ibusa traditional burial ceremonies. And let me start by saying that I'm not going to look at the details, the ritual details, which are not even open to ordinary Ibusa people, except for certain groups of people, especially as represented by Ndiche. The Ndiche people in Ibusa are the people who are entitled to everything that concerns funeral rites. And this explains why Ndiche is a very powerful arm of Ibusa traditional administrative system, because they have the power to stop the burial rites of any dead Ibusa man for the reason of one infraction of the law of the laws of the people, or against another person. For example, if a member of a family, if a member of an extended family is owing somebody some money and refuses to pay, and the person decides to report him to Ndiche of his own village, the matter is settled. Ndiche will just send him message, what we call OCO, official delegation, messengers, you are owing this man pay. And if you do, they will keep him quiet. Because Time will come when somebody will die in his extended family, not his immediate family, in his extended family, not his immediate family. They're not waiting for somebody in his immediate family in the wider extended family. Any person who dies in the wider extended family, the Indiche will come and tell them that person will not be buried until your brother settles that debt. He owes the person. And what happens? The whole extended family will start running around to see how they can settle the matter. That is a very strong aspect of social control system, traditional social control system in Ibusa. That is one aspect of the role of Indiche with respect to our burial procedures, our burial rites. Secondly, in Ibusa, and I believe as in other Anyoma communities, every funeral rite is traditional. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you don't go to church, we have one system of burial rites, burial ceremony, or burial rites, which is traditional, in line with our customs and traditions. Unlike what you have in the Southeast states, where they have church burial ceremonies and traditional burial ceremonies for those who don't go to church. No. As far as Ibusa people are concerned, every death belongs to the community. Somebody belonged to a family first before belonging to the church. So it is the nuclear, it is the organic family that primarily owns the death, the corpse of the person. So what our people do is that when a Christian, yes, like many people in my town, they are Christian, like when a Christian does, yes, the person is permitted to be taken to church, funeral mass, funeral service, whatever prayers. The members of his church or her church are permitted to even put the person into the grave and cover it. They cannot have their entertainment, refreshment for those who for mourners and sympathizers. After that, they go. As far as Ibusa customs and traditions are concerned, that person has not been buried. What happened was what we call izobozu, hiding the corpse. Because at that time, the cannon shot, the two cannon shots will not be fired, indicating the continuation of the commencement of the traditional burial rites of the deceased person. So in Ibusa, there is no dichotomy in matters of burial rites. And we have, and the burial rites in Ibusa are categorized according to the social ranking of the person. You have at the height the Indiese, those who took rare title chiefs, now followed by Ndimpalo, those who took Alo title, then followed by Ndimbankpisi. Then you now have for women what we call Ikbueshi. So in traditional Ibusa burial system, we have, because the social aspect first. I'm not going to the ritual aspect in totality. In fact, I'm not going there because I am not in position to go into the ritual aspect. But what people should know is that every burial in Ibusa involves slaughtering of goats and fowls, whether for a Christian or for a man or non-Christian. It involves that. Secondly, we should also realize that the pattern of Ibusa burial rites, aligns with that of Benin, Edo system. It aligns with that of, because as we have noticed in records, British records, even according to our traditions, as recorded by many people, human sacrifice or using human beings to bury chiefs in Ibusa, as in many other Anioma communities, was, do I say rampant? No, that is rampant should not be the right word. Was the custom, was the custom of the people, was an intrinsic part of the burial rites of our people. So then, in the olden days, for the traditional ruler, most chiefs had slaves around them who helped them in farm work, they own slaves. So when a chief dies, a recap chief, when he dies, what they will do, just pick one of the slaves there and then use the slave to bury the person. Or they can now go to Asaba, Ubolie, or Onitsha to now purchase a new slave for the burial. So that has been the practice which was stopped by the British government, by the British colonial government. But that not being the case, that not being the case at the moment, we cannot rule out the burial rites of Ibusa. We cannot rule out any form of sacrifice or rituals that involve the slaughtering of animals in that aspect. Because in effect, when you take a title, when you take an Alo title, when you take an Eze title, they both involve offering of goods and fowls and money. So when an Impala person, when somebody who took an Eze title or Impala person dies, all those processes of initiation, the number of goods and whatever, are also presented as a farewell to that person. So it is very, it is therefore very difficult or impossible within the body of Ibusa burial rites to avoid the slaughtering of animals. But we will come to that. We'll come to that. But then let us look at the social aspect of the burial ceremonies in Ibusa, because this is where the issue of external influence comes in. This is where the issue of Benin and Igala interventions comes in. And what are we talking about? What we are saying is that these social aspects of burial ceremony, outside the eternalized rituals, exclusive to those who are particularly detailed to perform or who are particularly consigned or appointed to do such. The social atmosphere of any burial ceremony involves the dancing, the music and dance aspect, entertainment aspect of the funeral rites. So it is this aspect that we're going to look at first, and that is the musical culture that that actually defines the course and character of burial rites, traditional burial rites in Ibusa. And in this respect, I can say that we have 7 genres of music and dance, funeral music and dance in Ibusa, categorized according to the social ranking. And when I mention them, I will tell you where they came from, where each of them originated from. And to prove that 100% of the funeral musical genres of Ibusa people never came from the Southeast, but from Benin, Igala, and a little from within the hybrid subcultural zone of Anioma land. So we start. The highest genre of funeral rites, music, and dance in Ibusa is known as Imanokwa. This Imanokwa originated from Esan. We call it Egum Diese, or the Royal Musical Troupe. It is used to bury an Eze title holder, the Omu of Ibusa, and some Alo, and those Mpalo people that are members of the troupe. It is an Esan musical troupe. The core poetic rhythm of the music is Esan. When you listen to it, it's not just for funeral ceremony. It is also used during the coronation of the Omo of Ibusa and Indians people. But particularly, that is the sole senior or do I say the general music, the fundamental, let me put it this way, the fundamental music, the fundamental dance and music and dance troupe, traditional funeral rites that is required for the second burial ceremony of an Eze title holder and an Omo title holder. That is it. That's the fundamental requirement. Whereas the Imanokwa could be used for the burial, for the first burial of an Eze title holder and a Impalo title holder. But for the second burial ceremony, it is only used for the Ndieze burial ceremony, burial rites, burial ceremony. That is it. And even when we use it for the burial of an Impalo member who is a member of the troops, who is a member of the royal, that Imanokwa royal troop, during the Imemo, that is the period when we declare the burial, the outing burial of the day closed, we call it Imemo. In that case, a goat is normally slaughtered, and we dance with the head, depending on who is there, depending on who is available there. Then whether the Odogu or the ESA, but if the Odogu is there, the Odogu will now take the head and then the head of the goat, and they will dance, within some ritual, aggregated ritual steps and times, and then perform the final ritual and go. The point is that when an Impalo, in the case of an Impalo, we don't use the musical troops, we only sing. But for a title holder and Omo, we use the full drum, the full musical instrument to perform the Imemo. That is the difference there. So the Imanokwa royal dance is an Isan, from Isan royal, from Isan, it's an Isan genre of traditional burial rites of Ibusa people. Then, after following the Imanokwa is the Okanga war dance, which is common in the whole Anioma people. This is another area where we have strong affinity with Benin, because the idea of war dance, or war drums was introduced by Benin into Anioma land. I don't see it in the southeast geopolitical, among the world southeast geopolitical zone. And here it is called Okanga. When we are going to war, that is what we use. And they found that in that accompanying Okanga, in accompanying our warrior culture, part of one important instrument there musical instrument is what we call akpele. It is a flute made of elongated calabash, a particular, calabash form that's where it is made from. Is calabash. We call it akpele flute, and that akpele is also common among the Benin and the other Edo groups. It represents what in the southeast is known as Oja or Opi. So among Ghanaian people, we don't have Oja, we don't have Opi. What we have is Akbele. So that Akbele, when I'm going to somewhere important, it is Akbele flute, the flute, the fluter, the Akbele fluter that will lead me, and he'll be calling me in Oriki style from that, from that sound. So Akbele again forms part of the Okanga musical troupe that clearly defines the intervention of Benin culture of war, culture of burial rites into Ibusa land. So the Okanga is primarily used to bury an Eze title holder and Mpalo title holder, but it's primarily meant for the Mpalo title holder. But because an Eze title holder must be an Mpalo before it proceeds to Eze level, then that is why it is also necessary that it should form part of the burial of an Eze title holder. So that is our general war drum, or Kanga war drum. That one we use to bury the Eze title holders. We use it to bury Mpalo title holders. We use it to bury that's for the first burial. We use it to bury the Omu. And occasionally, when a woman has grown old to become the oldest or a prominent person in her matrimonial home, when she dies, her paternal village, her father's family, might use the Okanga to honor her too on special occasion. This is where the Okanga is also used. The Okanga in the olden days was also used in protest. Like if you are going to carry out protest against anybody, the youth will mobilize Okanga. Normally, when you are going for Okanga, everybody is armed with our bani shield and our knife. And then that is actually occasion where the youths display their prowess in martial arts with their cutlasses and matches and so on and so forth. So oftentimes, you see people protesting. These days, you now see some villages, because each quarter has its own Okanga. You see some villages asking people they should not use, the youth should not use machete, they should not use cutlass, and so on and so forth. But that is out of the way. But the culture is that it is a warrior dancing troupe. And people in the olden days were normally armed, even with dengon, shooting and machetes, clearing the way, and so on and so forth. For the Okanga and the Manokwa, the person has to dance, the troupe has to dance around the town. You have to dance around the town. Dancing around the town means announcing to the entire town that an important personality has left. So it's not a question of tomorrow, when did this person die? No. The Okanga was the other day. So when you hear the Okanga move, people will normally say, who died? Because when the Okanga is roaming, it means somebody has passed away and is being buried. So people are, who is that? People will come, they will know that somebody has gone. So no important person in the Ibusa dies or leaves this Mother Earth without being noticed, without his community being informed of his exit with Okanga troupe. So that Okanga is from Benin, is Benin tradition. Ibusa people borrowed this from Benin, as we borrowed the Imanokwa from Esa. Then the third genre is Agoba, which is used for the second burial of an allot title holder, that agoba, because they cannot use a manakwa for the second burial of an allot title holder. That agoba was also brought from Esan. So it's a two again. So it's an Esan, another Esan genre of traditional burial instrument of entertainment or whatever. So that is so agoba, which is used, agoba dancing to which is used for the burial of an Impala person came from Isa. So we can now see that within this, and these are the three highest levels of musical rites within the cultural bands or the customary rites of Ibusa burial system. These are the three. Then followed by this is Ekobe. Ekobe is used for the second burial rites of somebody who did not take allot title. The person, we call it Mbampisi. Person did not take any title, but just Mbampisi, the lowest title. So Ekobe, which includes few instruments of agogo, you know what the Southeast Igbo call ogene is what we call agogo, which is also general in the whole Edo speaking Urobo, Isoko, Benin nation. So it's agogo with some other ududu. That's port music and so on and so forth. So it's Ekobe. While Ekobe, the word Ekobe is Benin, because the word Ekobe actually is related to one rich Benin woman of old days who was so rich that Oba had to be so jealous of her that her beasts and other things were eventually taken over. But then the musical system itself was a creation of our people. So it was created in Ibusa today. And in fact that the modern traditional Enuani musical genre Ekobe actually originated from Ibusa, from where it now spread to other parts of Anioma land. Like when you talk of Ubo Okonji, who is the chief music maestro in Anioma land today, his music is based on that Ekobe genre. We've got other important famous Ekobe musicians called Otumbosi Onyenwu by Agility Okonji. You have Okuta Nwaja of Obo, and a lot of them. Now, in fact, it was actually from these people that Obo Okonji gained his tutorial to become a maestro today. So Ekobe was developed in Ibusa and is spread to Anioma land today as the national music of Anioma people. So Ekobe is fundamentally used for the second burial of an Mbangbisi man, a non-titled person. That was how Ekobe, that was actually the real use or the real importance of Ekobe within the burial rights framework of Ibusa people. Then, after for the burial of the first burial of an Mbangbisi person, that's somebody who did not take allot title again. First burial is done by what we call Ebirigwogo. Sorry. Ebirigwogo. This is another native genre. In Ebirigwogo, they don't have to go around the town. It's an early morning race music. No instrument. It's just clapping. It's just by clapping and singing and the mourners are chased in a racing from to the village square, market square, to that particular village market square, and they're back. So that's Ebrigogo, no musical instrument. It's just clapping by hand. Just clapping. So that's for the burial of somebody without any title. So, but for the second burial of Ndieze, in which Imanokwa is used, Ndimpalo, in which Agoba is used, and Dimbankbise, in which Ekobe is used. The pattern of procession is the same. You move from the home of the deceased, the troop moves from there to Eke Market. As normally, second burials are normally done on Eke Market days. You move to Eke Market days, Eke Market Square in the evening, where they perform their rounds of dancing, and the women, the daughters of the deceased, are required to spray some money in the market after with the dance bank. So it is the same with Ekobe, moving with the deceased home to the Eke Market. The same with Agoba, moving from the deceased home to the Eke Market. It is the same. It is the same for all of them. But then coming to that of women in particular. But before going for the women, let us even look at the final second burial ceremony of a man. When the burial ceremony has concluded, that the outing, then the next stage will continue, that will lead to the final ritual cleansing or ending of the mourning period, called Ilini Unondo, in which people, every man from a within a kindred, extended family, is required to cook some sumptuous dish for the Umuada, the daughters of that family, who will then come from different villages and eat, dance and eat. So that Unondo, which takes place, which normally takes place within 8 days, Ogato, or so. That one, where we now be concluded with the last meal by the young men, the youths of that extended family, and that is called Ngubuota. That process is called Ngubuota. That Ngubuota now, we now conclude the final burial, rites of the man, after which his wife will now be free from her mourning period. And that Ngubuota, which originates from Egwuota, as we have them in Asaba, as we have them in Onitsha, is Igala. So Ibusa people borrowed, sorry, it's not Ngubuota, it's Equota, and Ota within the old Igala vocabulary. Ota is connected with father and ancestral spirit and ancestors. So it is a kind of dedicating the final burial, or appreciating or dedicating the final burial to the dead, to the ancestors of the family. So Egwuota, as you have it in Asaba, I have in Onitsha, is a special music, royal music, is for Indians area, for people of high title, and it is ritually infused and linked to the ancestral spirit of the land. So in Ibusa, we use it as in Ibusa for the final burial ceremony of the man. It is called Equota, and definitely Ibusa people borrowed it from Igala via possibly Asaba, and then from Asaba. So that is a Igala influence. Then for the woman, the the traditional burial of a woman is known as Ipueshi. Ipueshi. That is because it involves the gifting of cow, one live cow, to the family of the woman, to the paternal family of the woman, to the woman's father's family. So we call it Ipueshi. But the real meaning of the burial of a woman is Mbubuota. That is the real meaning, because the actual performers, the actual actors in that burial ceremony is not the woman's marital family. What the woman's marital family will do is just to put the corpse and then go. But all the burial rituals or the burial of a woman in her husband's place is conducted by her father's family, not her husband's family. The only thing her husband will do is put her into the grave, and that is final. And that is final. So the actual name is what? Ngubota, because it is it is the woman's father's family, her paternal family, that you first of all come and open the coffin to look at how the corpse looks. If the corpse looks bad, they can decide to fine the children for not keeping their daughter very well, leading to her death. So they inspect the coffin, they inspect the corpse, and see if it is well kept. If their sister died agonizing death, was treated badly by the look of the corpse. After that, they have to wash the corpse. Then they go. Then in the evening, they now come what is called Mbubota, where they will now come with a form of music again, like the Equator music. They come with the same and then dance round. After dancing round, they're giving some special entertainment. There are some special amount of money that has to be paid, and the quantity of drink has to be offered, and other entertainment given to them. After that, they dance around with that water, they call, and then they go home with that cow. So that is the pattern for the burial of a woman, and that mbubota again is neither Igbo nor Benin nor a native genre of Ibuzo, but from Igala, which might have been borrowed from Asaba, and so on and so forth. So that is one, because the word ata, as I said, is a traditional, is an old pronoun or general pronoun of father, ancestral, from ata and other things, but then specially linked, because like Igbo language, the Igala language also has also gone a lot of transformations over the years, and so on and so forth. Like Ibaji people, when the Ibaji people speak, Ibaji people closer to Igbo, and when they speak the Igala, those at Ida as Ampa might not understand. So, like in every other language, there are always that dialectical differences, to the extent that some group within the same, linguistic family might not understand the other. But that is the position. So that what has to do with the ancestral spirits of the father. So you can say that those two Mbubota and Ikwota are Igala genres of music. Why Imanokwa, Agoba, and Okanga are Edo genres of music. Why Ebirigwogo, which has no instrument, and Ekobe were developed within the confines of Ibuzo. So you can see from the foregoing that the Edo still have more impact in the culture of Ibuzo burial system than most people think. And as we can see, there's no atom of Southeast Igbo influence within the body of Ibuzo burial rites. or funeral ceremonies or funeral rites. None. So we developed our own, from human sacrifice to animal sacrifice, and then to the musical genres. They're all made, they're all Benin made, Igala made, and homemade. So that is why we are still, this what we are talking about. You see, when we are talking about language, ethnic origin, affiliation, or whatever, and affinity, whatever, we don't look at language alone. Language is a means of communication and might not always be the fundamental root of unity. It cannot be a centripetal force for groups. But common culture, common way of life unite people more than common language. As I stated earlier, I speak English with the same person in Australia, with the same person in Philippines today, with an American, with a Briton. But mere speaking the same language does not bring us together. But if I attend the same church with an Australian, if I attend the same church with an Australian, church, which is religion, which is an aspect of people's way of life, aspect of God, if I attend it, find that that common language has moved further to a family level within the confines of that church. So we become closer, we build a new form of family in that aspect. So it is not always language that unites people together. So the idea of basing on the notion of on the notion of common language as the basis of uniting Southeast, seeding and Yoma people to Southeast, does not work. It cannot hold. It cannot stand, because it is not founded on extant cultural characteristics of the people, which align more with Edo people than with the people across the Niger. So we can see from the foregoing that I don't need to go into the other details of mourning system, burial rites, and no. But the point is that this external display is what outsiders see. These external displays are what defines a people's form, their form, the form and character of their customs and traditions. It's what people see, what the public see, what the foreigners see, that determines the people's outlook within the wider society, not what is done in the secret. I don't need to go into the secrecy of funeral rites, which is still exclusive Edo in character. But as it stands today, we must bear in mind that it is difficult to tell Anyama people with just one factor of language that they don't have anything in common with their Edo-speaking neighbors. And that for that reason, they should consider the Igbo of the Southeast as exclusive brothers and join them. It can't work that way. It will not work that way. Thank you, everybody. As we move to the next stage, God bless you.